All right, everybody, welcome to the Groundsman. It is, man. That top order just demolished So normally, what that structure looks like is like this, and honestly, that's part of why the groundsmen are here as well, so that you don't have to wait for Coke Week in order to see who's who. All right, everybody, welcome to the Groundsman, where you find everything that has to do with school cricket, what the boys are doing, how they're doing it, what the schools are doing, what the structures look like. We're back again for another episode. This is week 5. I've got my co-host TT. How you doing, my brother?
It's good to be here, man. Week 5.
Yeah. Week 5, man. We're going at this thing. We're covering talent. I think it's been an interesting sort of few weeks, man. We got an invite from Sports 101 in India last week for us to join them on their podcast. They got a YouTube channel, Sports 101. Go and check them out. It was lekker, man. We had a chat about IPL. They love AB over there, so they so that was a good chat with them about that. And they're actually quite interested in the South African structures, eh? Um, it was a good
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, I saw a bit of it on YouTube. If everyone wants to go check it out, it seemed like you guys had a good time out there, man.
Yeah. No, it definitely was, man. I think there's quite a bit of scope out there, and I think that's why I'm beginning to sort of see why South Africans get so much love out in the IPL. I think the stage that AB, Dale, and the guys set out in the IPL, and the fact that I think the second IPL was in South Africa or something like that. So I think they set the stage alight out there, and I think that's why a lot of the youngsters are getting an opportunity to go play out there. So that was good, man. That was
Yeah.
good fun.
Nah, definitely. I'm quite keen to follow the IPL as well and see how those guys do.
Yeah. I'll tell you something though. Hey, they asked me a question about AB and just what I thought about him in the IPL, right? And obviously,
Yeah.
I mean, we love AB, right? He's a fantastic player, probably one of the best South Africa's ever had. But I think they were a little surprised at my view in that since he stopped playing international cricket, he's a different player now. You can even see with his energy, the way he went out against that CSK match that we were reviewing on the day. There are just shots that AB circa maybe 2018, 2017, let's say 3-4 years ago, right? Would have just slapped over the covers for 6. I mean, they love him. They call him Mr. 360 out there. And the way
Yeah.
he went out on that day, for me, the only thing I could attribute it to was the fact that he hasn't played international cricket in a while. And now I'm beginning to wonder to myself if missing that element in your game, does sort of reduce how sharp you are in any given situation. I don't know what your thoughts are, man.
Yeah, the old saying, iron sharpens iron. So when you're not out there constantly playing against the best players in the world, you start to realize that it's not as easy as you thought it might have been in the beginning.
Mm.
Perhaps it was easy because you had been doing it for so long that that's just the level that you played at. But when you stop playing against the best players in the world, and you have to play them periodically, you have to be almost godlike to be able to go from cold to hot against the best in the world. That's literally like a fighter coming off a 3-year sort of span, or 2 years out of the game, and then coming into a world title fight.
Yeah.
and we expect him to come in and just dominate. And these are the nuances that you realize that there are levels to the game, and just because a guy at some point is at a level doesn't mean you can maintain that. It's like no one's naturally at a world-class level, and I think that's what AB's proving, is that
Mm,
no matter how good you are, being at that level doesn't come naturally. It takes practice, it takes repetition, it takes competition to be able to do that at such a high level consistently.
yeah. Yeah. You're right, dude. I'm looking at what do you call it? I'm looking at a Vera Kohli, right? Playing the same side. He opens for the side, he's the captain. But because he's still sort of at an international level, he's still essentially his skill set is still up there, right? It's very rare that a Kohli would not perform, especially at a competition like an IPL, 2-3 matches in a row. But you I don't know, maybe I don't know. It's if you think about AB back then, right? There was no AB was class, right? So form was
Yeah,
irrelevant to his level of performance and his consistency of performance. Whether he was in or out of touch, you know that second or third game he's gonna kick into gear.
yeah,
So it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, I look at Andre Russell, a Pollard, some of the West Indian mercenaries out there who do play these competitions around the world, but make themselves available for the West Indies when they're playing T20s.
yeah.
It's almost like they're keeping themselves at like touching distance at that level of international cricket just to stay sharp.
Mm. Now that's definitely what it is, and that's why even when they come together, they still dominant because each one of them has been sharpening their tools. Each one of them has still been playing international, even if they're not playing for their country. They're
Mm,
still playing against those caliber of players. So there's no way getting around playing the best competition in order to be the best.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. Anyway, that was just something interesting that I saw, and I thought, I actually never considered the fact that these guys playing at that level, AB and the like, playing at that level allows them to keep going regardless, right? You have to be like a
Yeah,
Dhoni or someone who's just like who's like you say, who's in God mode, right?
yeah,
And consistently just demolishes anything that comes his way, chases down anything that comes his way. So I don't know. It's now brought us a different thought, a different level of player to my mindset because we used to operate on a test and ODI level, right? Now that there's
yeah,
this sort of new layer of international cricket where different international players play in different competitions around the world, unlike before when it was just county or franchise or whatever. Um, it's brought in a different level of cricketer where you're like, okay, there's another measuring stick where you can measure players' level skill set at an international level without them playing for their country. So yeah,
yeah. But I personally still think that it's a competition between um, players more than it is against teams.
yeah,
And again, so I'll go back to the West Indies example. They are a perfect example that you don't necessarily need to play in the team in order to achieve a certain level of result.
yeah,
And at that level, and we'll bring it back down to the guys we talk about, right? So you look at a St Stithians. If you're not playing guys like St Stithians often, you're not going to, how do I put this? I personally have never seen a player do well who does not play against the big teams throughout the year.
Mm,
I've never seen a guy come out of nowhere, hasn't played any of the big teams, hasn't played any of the big talents, get selected for the Northwest team, um, and just kill at tournament, having never experienced any of the players at tournament.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. That is it plays a massive role that maybe um we may have sort of swept under the rug over the years because it was a given, right? But now it's
Mm.
becoming more and more apparent with some of the players that we deem as great or fantastic. Yeah, man, it's one of those things. It's just something I was thinking about after that interview with the guys, and I thought maybe we can have a chat about it on the show. But shout out to them, man. Sports 101, Harshal and team out in India. Appreciate you. Thanks for asking us to come on. Really had a good time. And they like what we're doing, man. They like us talking about developmental cricket, and some insight that we share as well on a senior level as well. I think they appreciated that as well, to get an insight around who might be coming through, who might be available for IPL, and who India might be playing against in the next few years as a young talent. So, yeah, man, great job. I think it's a good testament to what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to hear um, guys are receptive to the stuff we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. All right, let's get to the show, man. We got a few games going, bro. There's actually a lot that happened. This is Heritage. This was the Heritage long weekend. So a couple festivals going on around the country. It was hectic, man. I don't know how some of the guys spent their long weekend, but I spent mine watching a lot of cricket. And when I say a lot of cricket, I mean a lot of cricket, man.
Yeah.
There was the clubs are back in again. What do you call it? The clubs are back with their preseason games are starting now. A lot of the guys played this weekend. We had the SA under 19 versus the SA Academy this weekend, which was an absolute thriller. It was fantastic. And then we also had some of the schools that we follow playing. First teams back. Some of the first teams are back again, getting some of that rust off. People's team was out this weekend, had a good time out. We also
Yeah.
had the under 14 tournament out in KZN and Hilton, man. So all the under 14s were out. That boys were spending the long weekend, long days in the sun, since sort of late last week. So it was big, man. It was big. If you want to see any of those sort of under 14 games, we don't really cover under 14s on the show. But if you want to see them, I had a look at some of the games. They were really good. I think the kids were putting through some decent performances. You could see it was early days, so the couple of low scores, all 50 over games. And but you can see there's some schools have some good pipeline coming through. Bosch and the like, they have some good pipelines coming through. But you could see it's early days for them. And a few low scores coming in there, but very competitive nonetheless.
Uh, it sounds like it was a busy weekend this weekend. Looking forward to hearing results.
Busy, 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 man. So just to give you a summary, we're not going to cover all the teams that I'm going to talk about here, but we are going to cover some of the critical ones like we always do on the groundsman. So we had Cares versus Garsfontein. Cares winning that game, batting first, scoring 323 for 7. Garsfontein making a fight out of it, getting bowled out for 289. So definitely a fight put up there by Garsfontein. Good on you guys. But Cares, my team that I picked from the jump, coming through with a W, which is always fantastic. And then we had Paul Boys High versus Affis. Paul Boys coming in hot, batting first, scoring 278 for 7 in 50 overs. Affis getting bowled out for 189. So tough day out for Affis, man. Tough day out. You can see when some of these when the other schools come online, um, all of a sudden there's a bit of a balancing act coming in now, right? There's a
Yeah.
there's it's not that obvious anymore. If you look at and here's the funny part, right? So Paul Boys play Affis, they score 278 for 7, they bowl Affis out for 189, right? Then they play Pretoria Boys High. They get bowled out for 167, and Pretoria Boys chase it down in 40 overs with 6 down. All right. So
Who's this?
This is Pretoria Boys High, the People's Team beating Paul Boys High.
Okay.
And Paul Boys beat Affis.
Okay.
All right. So there's you can see it's not necessarily around the fact that Paul Boys can beat anybody outside of the top 20 or within the sort of outside of the top 10 kind of thing. It's about the team on the day, man. I think it's that dog, that fight in the player, you know, that we're going to scrap this one and try to take you guys down with us. For instance, I'll make another example, right? We had Potch Gim playing against Grey High School. Potch Gim scored 212 all out and bowled Grey High out for 147.
Okay.
So there's quite a bit of how do I say inconsistent performance, right? Then you had Affis coming in, scoring 270 for 9, and bowling out Garsfontein for 105, right? And this is the same Garsfontein that scored 289 against Cares. So there's quite a mixture of performance there, which I guess makes it a little bit interesting and difficult for the coaches, right? You're like,
although
yeah,
I'm not sure about that. It sounds to me like the guys are starting to find their feet. I mean, Potch Gim lost their first game, have now won 2 in a row. Affis has lost 2 now. They lost last week. They're losing this week. Waterkloof came now 3 weeks in a row. Boys High lost their first game, won their next 2 games. I think the guys are starting to become very clear who are the teams to look at. I think that you look at the performances, the first games, it's like, okay, cool. But now you're looking at it and you're like, hey, listen, Boys High played 3, they've won 2 out of 3. St Stithians has won 3 out of 3. Gimmies has won 2 out of 3. Who else did we mention just now?
Yeah, Waterkloof played this past week as well. Played against Paul Boys. Paul Boys scored 303 for 7 in 50 overs. Waterkloof got balled off at 263. So they got their speed wobble there.
Yeah, so it sounds as if Waterkloof, because now if you're trying to differentiate the different or define the different levels so far, it sounds as if Boys High, Paul Boys, and Potch Gim are about on the same level.
Yeah.
Paul Boys has a team that's similar to Boys High, where if on a good day they'll beat they can beat almost anybody.
Yeah.
But then it seems like there's another level where you find your St Stithians, Ronda Bosch, Waterkloof is looking like, you know, that in a Premier League you'll find that number 5 spot, that Tottenham Everton spot. And we're always just they couldn't make it into the Champions League this year. I think that's what Varskloof is doing. They don't have the full stable of players, but they've got enough to try and to dominate their space.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair when you look at the performances, right? Because again, Pretoria boys played again against Swart Corp. They're not on our radar, but they got bowled out for 194. Pretoria boys came in, chased it down in 31 overs. So there's definitely, I think, an opportunity for us to create layers here in terms of, like you said, tiers of teams, right? And which level they're playing, so that we can again fairly judge them and fairly assess their performances going forward. Yeah, man. So that's what I'm thinking. There are tiers here, and I think you're absolutely right in that sort of Paul boys, Potch Gim, Pretoria boys. I'm also thinking maybe Grey High. We may be we may be giving Grey High accolades that should go to Grey College, right? So
Didn't Grey College get caned as well last week?
Yeah, Grey College got caned. They got caned. And I think they got caned by Potch. Was it Potch Gim? They might have gotten caned by Potch Gim because just to correct ourselves from last week, we were saying that Grey High and Grey College were 10 and 11. That's St Andrews School and St Andrews College. What makes it worse is that Grey High is third in the rankings and Grey College is fifth. So Grey High, that is third, right? Grey High, that is third, is getting caned by, I'll tell you now, Grey High by Potch Gim, who is, let me just find them in the stats here.
They're not in the top 20.
They're not in the top 20. I'm looking for them in the top 40. Mm-hmm. Not even the top 40, mate. So Grey High, that is third in the overall rankings over the last decade, getting caned by Potch Gim, that is not even in the top 40.
Is that who Potch Gim played this week?
Yes, they played Grey High.
So last week they caned Grey College, and then this week they caned Grey High.
Yes. So they decided to camp out in Bloemfontein and just bring everybody down a notch.
Oh, full credit to Potch Gim, man. How's that for? That's a massive show of character for the boys. They got caned in their first game against St Stithians. And then after that, what do? They go out and dominate the number 4 team. And the number 5 team. And then the next week, they dominate the number 3 team.
Yeah.
And that's after being dominated by the number 2, the second ranked team in the country. They then go take out number 3 and 5 just number to let 5. Everybody know
that we're here to play. I really hope. I haven't seen the schools list for the Michaelmas tournament, but I really hope Potch Gim goes there, man. I think there'll be a lot for the side they've got this year can clearly compete. And from what I know about the tournament, there are scouts and selectors that go to that tournament. So I'm really hoping Potch Gim goes there and disappoints a lot of schools, man.
Now it sounds like they're on a campaign. It sounds like that first game was a wake-up call for them.
Yeah.
And they had to look at themselves in the mirror and go, okay, well, what are we doing this season? And it's showing, man. It's showing. They haven't just been winning, they've been dominating, guys. They've been winning convincingly since that St Stithians loss. So I don't know. I feel like if they keep going this way, I want to see that St Stithians rematch.
That rematch from Saints. Hey. Saints is a beast, bro.
Because listen, man, Gim is carving their way into the conversation as a top 5 school. They've already beaten 2 out of 3 in the
Yeah,
top 5.
yeah, yeah.
They've
I
already
mean,
beaten 2 out of the 3.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking, right? Because we're gonna right now the guys are sort of still starting out, so we haven't populated our table quite as yet, right? So we've got something exciting coming up for you guys. Yes, we've got the schools rankings, but Groundsman are putting something um a, a little more transparent together for you guys. I told you I asked for the methodology for the schools rankings, right? Um,
Yeah.
and I still haven't gotten anything. So I mean that rankings I think is put together by SA School Sports .co.za. You can always go see it there. And they never came back to me. So what I'm gonna do, what I think we should do, um, is that we're gonna put together after the Michael Mass tournament because that's when everybody would have kicked into gear now, right? Nobody's saying we
Yeah.
haven't started, we're observing protocols and all of that. So Michael Mass comes through, we're gonna populate our top run scorers, our top wicket takers, and the our school rankings ourselves. I think that's what we're gonna do as a groundsman feature, man, because I think there's a definite conversation to be had for a lot of these schools that don't necessarily feature in this top 20, top 40 list. Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's definitely a lot of guys that, I mean, Achemies, based on rankings, is probably right now one of the top 10 schools,
Yeah.
just based on off out the gate, early performances in the season. They've dominated. They're doing well. A St Stithians is up there. A Ronda Bosch, they've only played what, 1 game so far.
Yeah, I think they play one out there.
So yeah, man, I think it's time that we put together our own groundsman leaderboard so we can have a true reflection of what's going on the ground.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, man. We're gonna do that. That should be good fun. Waiting for Malcolm Mass. Once that comes through and we run through those tournaments, we are putting together something special since Malcolm Mass is predominantly it's all the sort of big schools, senior first team players that are playing out there. We're gonna try and get some footage from there. We're going to try and cover it extensively as possible to give you guys an opportunity to see these boys, not just hear us talk about them, right? So we're putting together a very nice program around when are the kids playing, who's playing who. It's going to be a big deal. It's going to be a great opportunity for us as the cricket loving public to get to see these boys in action against each other. And probably I can imagine for some of you, it will be the first time seeing these boys performing at this level at these kind of tournaments. So we're looking to do something special for you guys, man. We're going to enjoy it. We're hoping you guys will enjoy it as well. So yeah, T, it's gonna be lots of fun, man. I think we're gonna put it up on all our social media, obviously on our YouTube page, um, our YouTube channel, and have that stuff out there for everyone to see.
Yeah, man, I'm quite excited about it. I'd love to reach out to the organizers. It would have been great to have the groundsmen do daily recaps at the tournament, talk about the players, talk about what's happening. But with COVID and everything, it would be quite tough for us to get down there.
Yeah,
But yeah, man, it would have been nice to have the groundsmen do some daily recaps for all the schools.
yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, we'll reach out to them, see if we can get a voice note or whatever from the coaches, just wrapping up the day and what they thought about the games. Whoever comes back comes back, but a lot of the schools have been quite receptive. I know St. John's is absolutely on board and they love it. Dale College is out there. So definitely, man, we'll reach out to them, try get some insight from the coaches themselves as well. Moving. Let's chat a little bit about some of the games that we spoke about earlier in sort of the early introduction. We spoke about Paul Boys High versus Waterkloof. So Paul Boys scored 303 for 7 in 50 overs. Waterkloof bowled out for 263. So I think we had some good performances here, man. We had a young boy named Gaspard Wage. That's the captain. That's the captain for Paul Boys High, scoring 113. So absolutely fantastic from him. I think there's definitely some great talent out in Paul, man. You can see some of the shots the this boy was playing. He's playing it with such ease, man. Such ease. It's definitely not the kind of player where you're like, is he? I mean, he's literally just setting up base and teeing off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he an opening batsman?
No, he came in at 4. So he's definitely in their top order, but he came in at 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds like somebody to look out for in the Western Province setup.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I think there's massive opportunity for players like this in the province setup. Definitely sort of making their mark and putting their hand up for selection. And then again, I think another player for Paul Boys, he didn't score 100, but he did score 81. Lieben Engelbrecht, 81 not out, coming in at 5. Right? No, at 6.
Yeah.
Coming in at 6 and scoring 81. I think he also did a good job. Strike rate under 100. These days, I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure what if that works, but in a 50 over game for sure, man. Coming in at 6. What is your take on that, dude? If you come in at 6 these days, right? We're talking about Andile the other day as a number 7 all rounder, and sometimes they use him at 6. Is it okay to come in as a number 6 or 7 with a strike rate under 100?
Look, man, in this modern game, the guys that are coming in at there, your job is to win games.
Yeah.
So I think that the strike rate is really we're not interested in how much you're averaging. That's not what we're interested in. At that level, if you're trying to bat at number 5, 6, 7, maybe we'll give number 5 a bit of leniency, but definitely 6 and 7, you need to be able to be it can't take you more than 6 balls to get your eye in.
Yeah.
Maximum. At that level, it can't take you more than 6 balls to get your eye in. And then after that, we expect you to be able to get boundaries. We expect you to be able to push the pace up the ante. That's what we're expecting out of you batting at number 6 and 7. That when you come in, the run rate's got to go up. The run rate has to go up. The run rate can't go down when our number 6 comes in.
Yeah.
Unless we're in trouble, then maybe you can try and stabilize it. But even so, we expect you to have the skill to not only stabilize the ship, but to still kick on from there. So it's one thing to come in and stabilize it, but if you can't stabilize it within 3-4 overs, get everybody back on track, and then accelerate, you're still useless to us because you're still going to put us in a hole. If you're going to do that as a number 6 and 7, you're coming in, say, we've had a collapse, you're coming in at around the 20th over, and you're now going to burn the next 20 overs again, right? Yeah. But you have to understand that you can't do that because there's no you that comes after you. The guys at the top of the order, they can burn overs because you are coming in.
Yeah.
They know that, okay, cool, I can leave it to the last 10. let me get this first 40 out the way. We'll get to around 200 plus after 40 overs. And I know that our number 5, 6, and 7 in the next 10 overs can get us another 100 plus on the board. But you can't do that at number 6 and 7, because when you get to the last 10, are you saying now your bowlers are the ones that are going to put on an extra 100 in the last 10 overs? So you have to be able to not only stabilize, but you have to be able to kick on.
Yeah, it's such an interesting position to bat, right? Because a lot of what do you call it? Often in the past, especially when we're talking Proteas and some of the other international teams, the argument is always, if especially if you have a solid opening pair, right? The conversation is always based around who bats 3 and who bats 6, right? 6 or 7, who's the batting all rounder? Who's the bowling all rounder? Do you just have just the batsman coming in at 7? These days, it's a no go because these pitches are basically prepped for batsmen. So if you go in a batter short or an all rounder short, chances are you're going to fall short to the score, right? So the if you're betting, the conversation is always who bats at 3, who bats at 6 and 7. Those are such key position these days. And you can see any team that doesn't have a solid 6, 7 often falls short towards the back end. So even if they're chasing something, right? Even if they're chasing a monster of a score, the top order will only do so much, and then it really always sort of falls to whether or not which teams 6 and 7 came through and just finished the game off or carried them over the line.
Yeah. And those guys are becoming more important in this fast-paced game. See, back in the day, cricket was all about the top 5. We used to always talk about the top 5. Top 5 batsmen are your best batsmen, right? And those are the test days, right? You get the top 5 guys up front. They're going to bat on and bat on and bat on and bat on and bat on. And that's what they were supposed to do. Whereas in this day and age, it's almost as if you leave your most explosive guys for number 5, 6, and 7. It's almost as if they try and get, like you say, it's the number 5, 6, number 6 and 7 have either gone to open the batting, or they've remained in that 5, 6, and 7 spot.
Yeah.
In this fast-paced game, right? So the days of the traditional opening batsman, those days are going. Those days are going. Almost everybody's now expected to do what I was saying a number 6 and 7 are expected to do in a game. Everybody's expected to be able to push on at some point. And if you don't, we're not going to select you. Right? Classic example of a Jacques Callis back in the day, how Jacques had to force himself to learn to play the T20 way.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was like, he's a quality player, but his run rate is low. His strike rate is low. And that was the problem. Everyone was like, listen, we're not saying Jacques is not a good player. We all acknowledge that he's arguably one of the best batsmen in the world and in history.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Actually, one of the best all-rounders. Right?
Best all-rounders,
but our problem is exactly. But our problem is that we've only got 20 overs.
Beyond that, in his day, 50 overs was quickening up as well, right? So even the 50 we were going, Jacques, we get this game during tests, but we got 50 overs, man. These guys are posting 350 plus. Okay. Even if you bat through, we still not going to get there because your strike rate is so low.
Exactly. So the days of just batting through died out because that wasn't enough to win a game. In fact, the guys that bat through started to lose guys games.
Yeah.
It was like, you know what? You were better off going out so we can have a guy with a better strike rate come in. And you started seeing a bit of that. You started seeing in the early days, in the adjustment days, where guys would almost sacrifice players, where you could
Yeah.
see that a guy was told he's got to go for it. Whether he goes out or not, he's got to go
Yeah.
for it now.
Yeah.
And it created a a part in the cricketing timeline where it seemed like guys would just chuck their wickets all the time.
Mm.
But it was almost the guys with the slow run rates being told, hey, either get runs or get out.
Yeah.
But what you're not going to do is stay in for the sake of staying in. We don't need those wickets. We need big hitters to come in. And it
Yeah.
changed the game. It changed the mentality of the batsman, and it took some time for top order batsmen that were dominating in the traditional cricketing space to adjust. Your Hashim Amlas
Yeah.
had to adjust now to this new fast-paced cricket.
Yeah. Look at Temba, right? Temba's adjusted his game quite considerably since he first joined. He used to be also quite slow, quite niggly, but now, listen, man, he can hit a long ball these days. I don't know how he does it, as small as he is, but he's definitely changed up his game. And honestly, it's when they say market forces determine outcome. And that is
Yeah,
exactly what's happened, in that the people want to foster game. The foster game format has now been given to the people. And now that format and the people are forcing players to change their game, and push it on. I was talking to the guys at Sports 101 last week, and they were asking how, if and how the IPL has changed South African cricket. And I said it changed it up like insanely because of what we're talking about here. And now we've got tournaments like LPL and CPL that are pure T20 tournaments that guys are coming out, and the Coca-Cola T20 for the schools as well. So
yeah,
it's what you're talking about is almost like an evolution to where we are right now. And I'll then I think that leads to my next point, right? I don't know if you remember, I told you Gaspert came in and scored 113, right? And 110 balls, strike rate of 102. Fantastic. He's also the captain
yeah.
of the side, right? So you
Okay.
can see hey man, he's got that responsibility on his shoulders. Fantastic, I think, for Paul Boys. But guess what this boy then does? This boy then comes in and he sees that his bowlers are struggling, right? So the first two bowlers only take a wicket apiece, going at around 5.5 and over. Okay.
Yeah,
Um, and then sort of his first change, Rian comes in. He took two, going also at about 5.5 and over. He then tries three other bowlers after that because he's like, come on, lads. Because you can imagine at that point, Waterkloof scored 263, right? So,
yeah,
so at some point they were going fairly well. There was clearly a collapse somewhere along the line, and I was looking for that in their scorecard, and then I found it. Then I found that Gasper was like, "Yo, you know what? Give me the ball." Gasper
yeah.
was like, "Yo, you know what? Give me the ball." The boy bowls 9 overs for 42 and takes a fiver. Okay.
Oof.
And he's a spinner, mind you. And if you can remember, Waterkloof absolutely demolished spinners over the last few weeks. Right.
Yeah.
So the first wicket he takes is a caught and ball. Fantastic. Right. You're thinking, oh, okay, it's a lighty. He's all right. He's a leggy. Second wicket he takes, caught and ball. Pitched outside leg, turns in. The batsman plays across the line, caught and ball. Third
Yeah.
wicket, here he comes, another leggy. It was shorter. The batsman goes on the back foot, tries to cuts him into the covers, caught. Right. So he's getting
Yeah.
proper turn in there. Right. Fourth wicket, another caught. He bowls it short, turns away. Batsman cuts it into the covers, caught. It was one of those bowling performances where I remember myself, because I was a leggy as well, right? Where you think to
Yeah.
yourself, um, you've bowled fantastic balls. They play and miss, play and miss, play and miss. And then the one short, long hop that turns square and the guy just cuts it straight to cover or cuts it straight to point is the one that gets you the wicket. So, I mean, the boy took, I mean, I have to give it to him, man. I have to give it to him. He took control as the captain. And how's that to absorb pressure against Vatuk?
Yeah, man, especially because it's not like he wasn't going for runs. To go for 42 and 9, you're still waiting for some runs, you know?
Yeah.
So to keep bowling yourself as well, it's a ball from a captain's perspective. And I think most people don't think about it like that. But what people don't understand is that he had to keep bowling himself.
While his teammates
42.
looked at him and go, but you're leaking, man. You're leaking runs.
Yeah, he's probably going maybe at least a boundary and over. At 9 overs, he was going at least 2 boundaries and over.
Yeah.
A couple runs here and there. So there was probably around 2 fours and an over. Couple runs here and there. Batsman's probably going at least 8 between 6 to 8 and over with him. And then he's got to still bring himself back on again and go, nah, I'm seeing something here. I'm seeing something. It's either I'm seeing something or I don't have anybody else who I trust more than myself.
Yeah.
And that happens with captains. Yeah. That sometimes you know your team and you know what your bowlers are capable of. You look at a batting order and you go, I don't have anybody in my stable that can beat these guys.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's on me.
But what I do know is that I have the ability to ask questions.
Yeah.
I can ask questions of these guys. I'm a good enough cricketer. I'm a sharp enough cricketer. And you know what? I would rather at the end of the day, the team go, yeah, you cost us, than for me to have to look at one of my bowlers and go, come on, guys.
Yeah.
And that shows a lot of character as a captain, to take it on yourself.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Gaspard, fantastic, bud. You go up on our on our bowlers list. Because we did say five is how you get in, right? You take a fiver, you go up on the board, we track you from there. So fantastic from him, man. Big 100, fiver on the day. I think he did a fantastic job for Paul Boys.
Is he not at the moment? Would we not rate him as he's had the best captain's performance so far?
Absolutely.
I can't see another captain who's come out and picked up a fiver and scored 100 and essentially won that game for them.
Yeah. No, definitely. To this day, captain's performance goes to Gaspard for sure. For sure. No doubt about it. That was fiver and 100 on the day, keeping Vatuklof at bay. Those guys are wolves, man. They're coming at you. You let them slip, they are coming at you. Cool. And then we've got, we had Affies versus Gasfontein. I think we can quickly run through this one. We had 100 from Affies. I think they did a good job. Affies won this one by 165 runs. They scored 270 for 9 in their 50, and then Gasfontein were bowled out for 105. So as you can imagine, not really that much of a conversation from a Gasfontein perspective, but definitely I think from an Affies perspective, we got a youngster called Divan Engelbrecht. Excuse me, coming in, opening the batting, and scoring 100 on the dot. So he was 100 and out. But I think he did a great job, man, because that Gasfontein team are not shabby, at all. So to score that 100 and essentially set a very good foundation for Affies to get to that 270 mark, it was decent.
Yeah, it sounds like Affies got a bit of a wake-up call after that Potch Gim.
Yeah.
And they just tightened up a couple of things, and some guys put some pressure on themselves, like Devo, to say, no, come on, we gotta do better.
Yeah.
You got to do better because I know Garsfontein is also quite a big rivalry. So they've had now two rivalries where they've had to play some local derbies.
Yeah.
So that must have been a good sort of what's the word? It's a good motivator because I know where's Affis now? Affis were rated 13th, if I'm not mistaken. They're in the
Uh,
top 20.
yeah. Afis were the eighth in
Oh
that top.
yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that pressure of Waterkloof, who's coming in at 17, gave them a bit of a wake up call to say we're supposed to be a better team than Waterkloof,
Yeah.
but we got showed up pretty heavy. And yes, they showed fight. We spoke about that, the fact that they showed a lot of fight and grit.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I think it was very impressive.
Yeah. Definitely, man. Definitely. So well done, Devon. You go on our batsman's list as one of the top run scorers. So fantastic, bud. We think you're really good, and hopefully you can do something special for the Afis boys. If we look at the bowling performance, obviously to bowl them out for 105, I think it was an overall decent bowling performance from Afis. Sort of wickets shared across the board from everyone. And then we go to Potch Gim versus Grey High. Not a high scoring game. Potch Gim scoring 212, getting bowled out 212, and bowling Grey High School out for 147. So I think a decent performance from Potch Gim. We had a 70. We had another 70 from Johan Main. Johan, I feel like every time we talk about Potch Gim, Johan's name is there, right? So he bats 3 for them, and always ready to put in a performance, man. I think this is probably like the second or third week in a row that we're mentioning him. He's always 50 plus in the games that we've spoken about him, and I think he's a player that Northwest definitely have to look at and consider, purely just looking at consistency in performance, especially against these big sides.
Yeah, man, he's been definitely, arguably, probably the most consistent guy in the Northwest side of things. So we're definitely expecting to see his name in that Northwest lineup. I think it'll be criminal to not have Johan in that provincial side for Coke Week.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, man. I think he did a fantastic job, and Northwest can definitely use a consistent player like that, definitely. And then we had sort of another low scoring game, but again, I think a bit of a scrappy one as well. Paul Boys High played against Pretoria Boys High. Paul Boys getting bowled out for 167 in 47 overs, and Pretoria Boys chasing it down in 40 overs. So as you can imagine, there was not a lot to write home about. But I think one noticeable performance from Paul Boys, we had a 69 by Stefan. Fantastic. He batted decently for his 67, but again, like we say, right? You gotta kick on. You have to convert those 50s into hundreds. I think we said the same thing about Fields College a few weeks ago, where if I think they had 350s and the boys didn't convert. And again, this is another version of that where we have a Stefan Burdenegger coming in, and he got his 60 but didn't convert. And I think if he does convert, all of a sudden Paul Boys are in that 200 mark. And you look at the fact that Pretoria Boys High chased it down with 6 wickets down. All of a sudden, you add another 40, 50 runs on that, and it's game on.
Yeah, it's that those small moments, right? It's those little moments where you lose concentration, you chuck your wicket for whatever reason, and now you've pretty much lost the game.
Yeah.
And it happens in those small moments. It's never really the bigger moments. It's those small moments where a guy's on 67, he's looking good, we're all comfortable, and then you hear how's that? Oh, and he's
Yes.
gone.
Yes.
And in that moment, everything flipped. The
Yeah.
changing room energy flipped. Guys started putting on pads. Everything started going awry. 2 wickets, 1 wicket, 3 wickets fall, and all of a sudden now we're on the back foot and we're losing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a lack of concentration. You look at the way, I mean, he got run out, right?
Mm.
Such a silly way to go out when you're the one, essentially you got the team on your shoulders. So you got a short ball, he pulled it to deep square. Um, and he just such a silly run out. Such a silly run out, dude. He was on his way to 100. So yeah, listen, I think anything that you can get from the groundsman, that is, you have to convert, boys. Stefan, you cannot allow that to happen. If you're on 67, no matter who is in there with you, you're in control. You are in control. You have to convert that, mate.
Yeah, there's an old cricketing philosophy of you gotta bat around the guy that's in.
Yeah,
Whoever's in, everybody else bat around that guy. So in that situation where there's a run out, it should never be the guy who's in.
yeah, yeah. Always, always, always,
Even if you
always,
gotta
always.
send that guy all the way back and he looks like an idiot being run out, do that.
Yeah, yeah. All right, guys. I think as we head to sort of the tail end of the show, I thought we can have a look at and have a chat about the National Academy versus South Africa under 19, right? And probably a lot of people are asking, okay, National Academy versus South Africa under 19, are they not all development structures? How are they playing against each other? Are the under 19s not in the National Academy? What's going on, and why do I have a brain freeze right now? And I thought, okay, cool. The under
Yeah.
19s, um, as you guys would know by now, the conversation we always have is under 19s are chosen sort of from the bulk of them are chosen from that Coke Week squad, and then that Coke Week is then sort of uh, the SA under 18 and the 19 squad, and then there's also a second round of games that are played in the 3-day tournaments. The provincials play 3-day under 19 3-day tournaments, and then the boys are then seen from there. Other kids that weren't necessarily out at Coke Week, and then they include or exclude one or two guys in that squad as well, right? If there's an injury and there's then a conversation around that. The National Academy is also a development structure by Cricket South Africa. So what they do with the National Academy is that um, they take players that are in sort of in senior provincial structures and franchises that Cricket South Africa identifies and says these guys are, we want to get this crop of players again. Someone holding your hand to the top. We want to get these crop of players ready to play for the Proteas, and we need to get them ready, right? So what then happens is that they pick from sort of the franchises and the provincial structures. They pick a crop of players, they put them in the National Academy. It used to be, and it's changed a little bit, right? It used to be for like 3 months at UP, where they take that crop of National Academy players, go to UP, spend 3 months there, and high performance center, and now it's a 3-year cycle that they run with them. And they can include and exclude players along the way, depending on talent that pops up, um, and injuries and guys maybe falling off or not being able to play anymore, that kind of thing. It's a 3-year cycle. They take them, and then whenever there's an SAA side, which is essentially the B team for the Proteas, they take those players, some of those players that are in that national academy, and they if obviously if they've done well enough, then they put them in that SAA squad. They travel into they get some experience internationally, playing some international teams, and when there's a selection conversation that's had for the Proteas, that's the SAA squad is where they look first. Then they look at the academy, and then look at the franchises as well. So along with whatever running contracts they have with the current Proteas squad. So those are essentially the difference between the two sides that you're looking at here is that the under 19s are strictly no one over the age of 19, right? Under 19, you play at under 19. National Academy, it's all sort of the youngsters and some other players that are identified to be the next talent that's going to be that can be selected for the Proteas.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you can imagine that that's a very interesting match, considering the fact that the National Academy lost at under 19s. Um, I hope that's I hope that is a good catalyst, considering the under 19 World Cup is coming soon. And some of these players that are in this under 19 squad are quite young as well, right? Um,
Mm.
so if you look at this SA under 19 squad, we've got a few youngsters there. Excuse me. We've got a few youngsters here. Yes, they are. I just want to check something quickly. There we go. So we've got guys like Gwenama Paga, by the way, in that SA under 19 squad. Um,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Got picked
we've been
earlier
right
this
about
year. Got picked around Jan, I think, for that under 19 squad. And as we know, he's 15 going on 16. And he's definitely, I think, a definite conversation for the under 19 World Cup coming next year. Yeah, man. So you've got some kids like Wenama Paga. He was chosen around March, I think. He was picked up from the schools had that Coca-Cola T20 tournament they had earlier this year. And I think it's then when they came when Cricket South Africa was like, yeah, listen, I think the boy's ready. I think the boy is ready. And we could not agree with you more. I think he did a fantastic job. Um, he bowled. He didn't take any wickets. Bowled 6 overs for 24, going at around 4 and over. So I think he for a 15-year-old, I think he did really well, man. I think there
how quick
was
is he?
I
Because it
don't
sounds as
know.
if guys struggle to get runs off
They
in
do.
general.
They
And
do.
that's usually attributed to um, pace and accuracy.
Yeah.
When a guy is at a high school level, usually guys like that are just quick
Yeah.
and he's accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think he's definitely learning a lot at this level, right? There was one ball where he he thought he was gonna do what he does at high school level, and he bowled one short, and he got he got put over the boundary for six. And then I think he rethought it very quickly. Seems to have come back quite nicely after that, right? So after that six, he bowled a few dot balls. The players weren't. It wasn't that easy to get him away after he got hit for that six. So I think the boy's learning a hell of a lot, considering the fact that he's probably the youngest guy in that under 19 squad. Um, and again, he's also playing against the National Academy, which are essentially seniors in that side. I mean, in that National Academy, you've got um, uh, bowlers like Tando Ntini, who plays for the Titans. So you've got genuine what do you call it? You've got genuine franchise players in there, first class players that he's playing against. So I think he did fantastically well for a youngster, man.
Yeah, man, he's a 14-year-old playing against grown men.
Yeah, yeah, essentially, essentially. And again, you have to then also mention Ethan Cunningham, right, who comes in and scores 169. Um, Clearly, the boy is fantastic. Again, youngster playing against grown men. He was facing the Ntinis of this world.
Where's
That
Cunningham from?
I'll tell you now. Just give me a second. Ethan Cunningham. I'll look for it and I'll let you know. But you can see here he's playing like an absolute chap, man. Pace means nothing to him. Pace
Yeah,
means nothing to him.
chances are he's the St Stithians boy.
uh, I think he comes from province, man. I just need to let me do this quickly. He's a Rondebosch
Yeah,
boy.
yeah, I was about to say
Yeah,
it's not St Stithians, it's Rhonda Bosch. That's
yeah,
that to me sounds like where you're getting the, and it's a reflection of the rankings, right?
yeah,
So you're looking at who's the best bowler in that team. They're coming from St. Stithians.
yeah.
Who's the best batsman from that team? And Cunningham may not be, but in this case, it's hard to say
On the
he's not
day,
right now.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, coming out of Rondebosch. So you see all these other sort of games in between. It's moments like this where you see, okay, cool. I see why these guys are at the top. That
yeah,
when it comes down to it, they've got the players that they've got the cream of the crop, if I
yeah,
can put it that way.
yeah, yeah. Definitely, definitely. Got the cream of the crop, man, and to be able to perform at this level is critical, right? Because essentially you're performing against, excuse me, you're performing against um, uh, a crop of players who are identified to play for the Proteas next, right? So to score 169 against these boys is 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 phenomenal. Let's be honest here. We're talking about this boy's fresh out of high school, right? If he's 19
Yeah,
years old, he's fresh out of high school. If he's 18, he's in his final year. If he's younger, he's still in high school essentially. He's worrying about his math paper in a week's time, right? He's dealing with acne. He's trying to figure out why this girl doesn't like him from his sister's school. Um, and he's trying to figure out if he'll be able to get his chores done this weekend in order to to play on Sunday. So like I think it
and
sometimes
in
we
his spare
forget
time, he's caning grown men
in his
in the
spare time.
weekends.
Essentially, right? In his spare time, he's caning grown men. He's
Hmm.
sending grown men to the cleaners. And yeah, man, and opening the batting as well. So absolutely fantastic. I think Ethan Cunningham, you look fantastic on the day, boy. I think your technique looks good. You seem to have a good head on your shoulders. To get a 150 means that you're able to convert. And really, we hope we see more of you for sure.
Definitely, well done, bud.
Yeah, definitely a great performance. And then we had the wicketkeeper batsman Rohan Herman coming in at six, scoring a 68 as well. So I think a decent performance from SA under 19. Um, Again, like we said, right, that number 6-7 that number 6-7 position then becomes important because you've got Ethan that comes in and scores that 169. But without a performance from Rohan, it then becomes all of a sudden the score goes from 329 to 270, right? And then you lose.
Yeah.
You don't chase that 320 odd that National Academy put up. So I think a great performance all around from the boys. If we look at the National Academy performances, I think the batting came from that middle order yet again. Six,
How much do
seven,
they score?
8. So National Academy scored 329.
Oof,
Yeah,
that says a lot about Gwenna's bowling performance.
yeah, yeah. They were going hard, but they were going hard.
That
They were
says
going
a
hard.
lot about his bowling performance. Because
Yeah.
he went for what, 6 overs for?
6 overs for 24. So he was going at about 4 and over.
Oof,
So there were boys that went for Andile Simelane was going for about 9.5 and over. He bowled 9 overs. Um, we had Zach Momberg, who's going at about 7 and over. He bowled 6 overs. We had Jesse Pradell, who was going at about 8.5 and over. He bowled 6 overs. Then we had Ethan Cunningham also came in and turned his arm over. Um, and he went for about 8.5 and over. So what I suspect happened here is just because, again, we have to understand that these teams don't really know each other, right? These are boys that are selected from around the country and they come together to play a game. They'll maybe be together for 2 days before the game just to practice together and know each other a little bit. During COVID, it's probably maybe even the day before kind of thing, right?
yeah.
And I suspect that it's a matter of not knowing when, right? To give him 6 overs going at 4 and over.
I think
Um,
that it's more of a bad captain. If you're a captain and you can't spot that that's my best bowler,
yeah,
you know what I mean? If I'm
yeah,
going out, I'm pissed, man. I'm
yeah,
pissed. I'm the literally the best bowler here on the day. Let's
yeah.
forget everything else. On the day, I'm going for 4 and over. I've bowled 6 overs, 4 and over. I should have gotten my full 10.
You should have
If I'm
got,
going, I should have gotten my full 10, man.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, dude.
Yeah, look, if I'm a captain, any decent, reasonable captain bowls that boy 10 overs.
Mm,
I, I don't know. Something happened there
yeah,
because yeah, you don't bowl 6 overs, go for about four and over, and don't get to and other guys get to bowl 8 overs, 9 overs, and they're going for about eight and over, 9 and over.
it's ridiculous, mate. It's ridiculous. Him and the opening
That's not a
bowler.
captain. That's trying to win.
Yeah,
You're not trying to win if you're more focused on giving. To me, those actions are somebody who's trying to give other guys shine, even if they're not doing well.
yeah.
So
Guys that he
I'm,
knows better.
yeah,
Guys
I'm
that are
gonna throw it
mates.
out there and say it shows favoritism. You pick these boys, give them the more overs, even if they're not doing well, let them bowl anyway. He wasn't a captain that was trying to win a game. He was a
Yeah,
captain who was trying to get certain guys looked at.
yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
weren't trying to win that game.
Yeah. And I mean, I think from a captaincy perspective, because let's be honest, chasing down that 329 was an individual performance, right? Individual performances from the guys, right? Let's leave the captain out of that one. On a from a captaincy perspective, George had a bit of a shocker. Let's be honest, right? A lot of these
Yeah.
players are motivated by the fact that they're playing SA under 19, and if they're younger, they're trying to get into setups, get into that national academy as well, and try and take their career to the next level. That's what's motivating them to bat well and bowl well and all of that. So as South Africa under 19 chasing down the 329, let's not get it twisted. That wasn't like a captain's influence, considering the fact that George van Heerden scored nothing, right? He went out for a duck. And then to not bowl out Kwena his full 10 overs, considering that him and his opening partner on the other end had the lowest had the lowest economy in the side. How do you chase? I mean, let's be if we're honest, they didn't have to chase 329. They probably could have chased maybe 290.
Yeah,
290.
280 to 7. Because the thing is,
Yeah,
what those extra 4 overs on the other side also do is that they create a spiral effect. It
yeah,
may have reduced the because once guys get going on both ends, then the runs start leaking like crazy. But
yeah,
when you've got a one guy who's holding it tight on the other end, it makes it a bit harder to score runs on the other side as well.
yeah, yeah. And you can
Because you're
see, right?
pushing that guy on the other side tends to pick up the wickets because there's pressure on the one side. So what
Yeah,
do? They want to release the pressure on the other side, and usually mistakes are made. So you never know what could have happened if you just kept your best bowlers.
yeah, yeah. And brought him back.
Oh,
Brought him back. Like nothing's wrong with bowling him like 5 overs up front, bring him back for another 3 overs in the middle, and then bring him back for the last two at the end. Right? That's generally how you bowl your opening seamers. Um,
yeah.
but to leave him at 6 overs and then literally like everybody you bowl after that went for over 4.5, 5 and over, right? The only bowler after Kwena and Joshua, right? Joe Kwena and Joshua opened the bowling, right? After that, the next first change was going for 9.5. He bowled 9 overs, right? Second change, bowled almost his 10. He bowled 9.5 overs. He was going for 4.98, which was decent, right? Ashak Itzaka, right? Which is
Yeah.
fine. Then Zach comes in and he's going at 7 and over. He bowled 6 overs. Jesse comes in, goes at 8.5 and over, bowled 6 overs. Ethan he even brings back a bowler. I mean, he even brings back his batsman. He even brings back his batsman to come and bowl 5 overs to go for 8.5 and over, and still leaves his opening bowler unfinished.
Nah, but I'll tell you what that is. I'll tell you what that is. I know how these systems work. Coach comes out and he says he determines who the opening bowlers are. The coach will say so and so is opening, and then from there, it's the onus is on the captain to make the changes that follow afterwards.
Mm,
And I think what happened was if the captain would have chosen, he probably wouldn't have even opened with Buena
yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you think?
because
Ah,
you
man.
don't open with a guy and not let him come back in when everybody else is getting past. If he's your opening bowler, you're
Mm,
saying that's your premier bowler. So to
yeah,
not bring him back, it means that wasn't your choice to begin with. You don't see him as your premier bowler. The
yeah,
captain doesn't see Gwen as his premium bowler, and that's a problem. I hope this guy's not taking us to the World Cup.
yeah. I hope so too. Honestly, I do. I think he's as a captain, he's a bit of a disaster. You can't allow him to captain the side if he's gonna make these choices. And this is the stuff. This is why we're here, right? So let's talk about it. This is why we're
Yeah,
here. It's for players like
yeah,
Winner. It's for youngsters that are coming into his side and they meet senior guys who want to railroad them because they have mates in the side that they think should have a look, or another bowler that's a mate of his he feels should have been in the side, but isn't in the side, right?
because of this
Play the
14-year-old
squad.
boy.
You know what I mean? Like, why are you gonna do that to a 15-year-old boy? Play the side you have. Are you trying to? And this is the culture, right? This is the culture that there's sort of the hearings that are going on around what the Proteus culture was sort of over the last 10, 15 years, with Makaya and some of the guys coming through and giving testimony. It's replicated in times like this, dude. What is George's, and here we go again, right? So we're talking about it from a pure numbers perspective, right? We're not looking at anything
Yeah.
else, nothing else except the fact that we're looking at who performed well on the day. And we're also looking at it from, we've played cricket a long time. You guys that are watching the show have also probably played cricket a bit of time. Like my co-host T is saying, if you have an opening bowler who's going at 4 less than over, right? And everyone else is getting plastered. Why would you not bring him back on? Right? Why as a captain do you feel that much in power that you think you can tamper with another player's career, with another player's opportunity? Are you there to win, or are you there to give your mate an opportunity because your spot is solidified? Considering the fact that you scored a duck in this game.
Yeah. Does he bowl?
No, he didn't bowl. He didn't bowl.
So you're an expert batsman.
Yeah.
Came in, scored that.
Yeah.
You kept and you were captain. And then you made the decision to keep your premier expert bowler from finishing his overs while letting part-time bowlers bowl as many overs as your premier bowler.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. We're
Yes.
supposed to say that's cool. No, Cappy, that's a horrible decision.
It's terrible, dude. And you ended up winning the game by 1 wicket. You do that against India, against Australia, England,
Done.
West Indies, you are not getting anywhere near that semi-final, bud. We are not getting anywhere near that semi-final. You cannot allow yourself. And let me tell you this, George. I'm going to tell you this right now. As a groundsman, and you're a young player, you're still getting on in your career, you need to cut that out, bud. You need to cut that out very quickly. You are not getting anywhere if your team doesn't win. No one cares about you. I'm gonna tell you
Yeah.
that. I'm gonna tell you that up front right now. That no one cares that you scored 100 yesterday, a duck today, 40 tomorrow, but you are failing to use the resources of your team to the best of its ability. In reality, you guys should have been chasing maybe 270, 280 if you had bowled your bowlers properly. And then once you do that, all of a sudden you're winning this game with 4 or 5 wickets to spare.
Yeah. I just want to make something very clear that we're not coming down on, is it George?
Yeah, it's George.
The Cappy? Yeah, we're not like we're the reason why we're coming across this way against George right now is that if we take everything away, guys, George is in a very, very, very critical position.
Mm.
We cannot just sit and say, nah, George, come on, guys, it's just a bunch of kids. No, he's the captain of the South African under-19 squad.
Mm.
I don't know about everybody else, but that has to mean something. You have to be held accountable for that. Your decisions at that level impact people's lives for a long time. Like they hold dream. You hold the trajectory of people's dreams just by the decisions you make on that field.
Yeah.
And us as a country are entrusting you, we're entrusting the coaches, we're entrusting everybody to put somebody in that position that won't bury a guy like Wayne.
Yeah.
Because we want to see guys like him. It's always, I love how when a Rabada finally shows up, it's like, oh, he's absolutely fantastic. And
Yeah.
what we're saying to you at the groundsman is that Kwena is a Rabada.
Yeah.
And there are lots of guys like him that just don't make it. You see the one and you go, he's a gem. No, Rabada's nothing special in
Yeah.
the sense that he comes from a melting pot of talent.
Yes.
He's just the one that managed to make it out of the crabs in the barrel.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We gotta stop those crabs in the barrel because George, what you don't understand is that you Bokwena He keeps it down to 158, 160 down there. You go out as a cappy, the team wins, you dominate. What do they say? They say, yes, that George is one hell of a cap.
Yeah.
He didn't
Yeah.
score runs, but damn it, he made the
Captain that
changes at the
side.
right time. He brought the right
Mm,
guys in the right time. His field placings were good. We've got a leader here.
mm,
That's not what leaders do, George. Leaders don't bury the best guys just so that their favorites can shine. You don't do that, buddy.
yeah.
And we're saying this in all sincerity as groundsmen. We're not saying this to put you down. We're saying that you've got games ahead of you. You have to make the best decision for the team.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. As a captain, that is your job. As a leader, is your job is to have your squad sing in harmony, right? Let everybody do what they need to do so that the next guy can do what he needs to do. Because what you've done, and you may not understand this as a youngster, but what you've done is that you've forced other players to play roles they're not built for. So you you then forcing them to go at 8.5, 9 and over,
Yeah.
where
You
Quena would
you
have come
thought you were
in.
doing something nice for Quinn. I mean
Yes,
for
for your
those guys.
guys.
But
Yes.
really you buried them as well. Because
Yeah.
now we go, yes, those guys are shit. But hey,
Yeah.
had you given them the 4 overs, let them get it out the way, rotate it, keep it going, have your anchor bowler at the end come down and shut it down as your opening bowlers,
Yeah.
everybody would have had a good day. But
Yeah.
sorry to cut you off, man.
No, no, you're absolutely right. And that's the point that I'm getting at, is that when you're putting together any side, and when the coaches and the selectors put the side together, they put the side together for a reason. And
Mm,
when those bowlers and batsmen are doing what their job is, what they were put in that side to do, you begin to see a harmony. It's almost like an orchestra, right, where each instrument plays its part
mm,
on its own, but collectively it's it just sounds beautiful. And you as a
symphony.
captain are supposed to conduct your team in a way that they just everything just clicks, man. So when you shortchange one player, you're forcing another player into a position he's not built to play. And that's what happens with this bowling lineup. That is how this national, and because this national academy are no joke either. They climbed into you guys. As soon as Quena and Joshua got off, they climbed into you guys because they thought, great, these boys are off. And then Andile came on, and then Ashanke came on, and then Zach came on, and they thought, fantastic. And then Jesse came on, and then they thought to themselves, when is Quena coming back? I hope he stays off. We can get 310, 330 here. And then Ethan comes on, and they thought, jeepers, I wonder who's captaining this side. Is he? And that's the sad part, right? Is that right now, fortunately for you, um, unfortunately for you, you've made these decisions in an area where the groundsmen are here, and we're talking about it. Where maybe previous captains that you may have spoken to for SA under 19 were able to do this stuff under the radar. Um, and you go to a national side and you ask Faf how often he gets criticized on his field placings, who he bowled when. You get what do you call it? Bavuma, who gets criticized, Keshev, who's getting You do this at a national level, but it's not going to end well because everybody is watching, and unfortunately for you, the groundsmen are here and we're watching development cricket, and we happen to see this. So now we just hope you got a lot of games ahead of you. All we're saying is do better, man. Don't sell your boys out like this. Gwena deserved to bowl 10 overs in this game. You know it. We know it. The public knows it.
Yeah, man. Like you say, guys, everybody comes in built for a specific role, right?
Yeah.
Everybody comes in, and cricket, when you look at the best teams, They are built with guys that come in and go, hey man, this is what I do. Anything else outside of this, you're asking me to do extra. And we
Yeah.
all acknowledge it. I don't mind doing extra, but this is what I do. Right?
Yeah.
There's guys that come in and go, hey dude, I bat. Okay? Don't tell me about bowling. I bat. You can put me in the slips for the rest of the game. That's what I do.
Yeah.
But I do that better than anybody else. And that's what I do. And then you bring in a guy and he goes, listen, man, I catch balls better than everybody. I'm the keeper. It's what
Yeah.
I do. I can bat, I can hit a ball, but I keep. I keep better than anybody else in the game.
Yeah.
Nothing gets past me. Right? And you go get a big, tall boy. And he goes, listen, bro, I don't know much about this whole hitting the ball thing, but I can damn sure bowl. I can
Yeah.
bowl better. I'm fast. I'm accurate. It's what I do. We go, okay, cool. Come join the team. He goes, okay, great. I'm coming in to bowl. That's my job.
Yeah.
And then they bring you in and then they go, okay, cool. Bowler, bowl. He bowls his first 6 overs. He goes, okay, cool. I'm going to go take a break now. Okay, great, bowler. And then our bowler's taking a break. Other bowlers come along. And then all of a sudden, batsmen start being called to bowl. And the guy who's being brought to bowl goes, yeah, but that's what you brought me in here to do. What
Yeah.
else am I here to do? If I'm not going to bowl my 10 overs and I did well, I was doing my job well, what else? If I'm a winner, what else do you want me to do?
Yeah. Why am I here?
What am I? Why am I here? What else am I supposed to do? And that's how guys end up losing that momentum. He then goes, listen, I've made it to that highest level.
Yeah.
And it's pretty crappy out there. I think I'm going to go have a beer out with the boys tonight.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with that,
Yeah.
George.
This is not what
That
I
guy's
thought
not
it
going to
was.
bowl me anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not what I thought it
Cool.
was.
I'll play at school, bro. Cool. Dude, I'll just play provincials, whatever. I'll go play hockey. Because the problem is what we don't realize as cricketers is that a lot of times guys that are really good at cricket are really good at other sports as well.
Yeah.
It's just an athletic thing, right?
Yeah.
You're a good athlete. You're a good athlete.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, dude. Listen, let's wrap it up. I think after this we got a session with groundsman thoughts. But to wrap up the games for the weekend, I think it was a fantastic weekend. Obviously we picked up a few things around our structures and sort of how the captains think. And I think those are all things that can be rectified, man. Let's just have a good attitude about the game. Let's play the players we chose and the players that have been chosen to be there, and let's win games for South Africa, man. So thank you guys for watching. T, any last words?
Nah, man. I think there's a lot that we could carry on discussing in terms of structures and so forth, but I'm looking forward to the Michael Mass tournament, man. It's going to give us now a clear indication of the landscape and who are the guys to look out for. And I think that the groundsman is hunting for a new captain, looking for that player, that guy that we're going to champion to say, this guy has led different teams from his school team to his provincial team, and we think this is the guy based on stats.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's lots to talk about, ups and downs of the game, as we all know and understand. But I think we love this game. Fantastic showing from Potch Gim's Pretoria boys starting to kick back. We're looking forward to Michael Mass. I think it's going to be fantastic. Join us after this for Groundsman Thoughts. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. We really appreciate it. See you next week. Groundsman, we're out. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Groundsman. Stithians, man. That top order just demolished him. So normally what that structure looks like is that and honestly that's part of why the groundsmen are here as well, so that you don't have to wait for Coke Week in order to see who's who and what's what.